Here's to whiskey kisses, the peaty taste of sin.
Greetings, whiskey folk, and welcome to the official Dram Association unbottling of Jack Daniel's Coca-Cola Zero Sugar. So Jack Daniel's, it's been put together with Coca-Cola for a very long time, but they've kept that relationship kind of secret. They didn't like to talk about it themselves much, mostly because they didn't have the rights to. And Coca-Cola just didn't want anything to do with the alcohol industry up until very recently. So whilst you would often go to a bar anywhere in the world and ask for a JD and Coke, this is the first ever product that actually has them together at once in a can. You don't have to mix it yourself anymore. All of that extra effort of opening a bottle and cracking open a can and pouring both into a glass, gone. You can now just crack open a can. So much simpler. Half the work, in fact. Yeah, I mean, Jack Daniel's and Coke, it just goes together. It's one of those flavor combinations that just works. And, you know, whiskey snobbery aside, it's delicious. It is. And I have lots of nostalgia about JD and Coke. I haven't actually had one in a long time. I don't know why, actually. I enjoy cola products. Actually, I should mention, I'm not actually a Coca-Cola guy. I'm a Pepsi guy to prove it. I believe, yep, I have an empty can of Diet Pepsi right here that's, yeah, just, I'm a Pepsi guy. But when it comes to JD, Coca-Cola is the traditional classic choice, let's face it. And I drank a decent amount of this when I was at university in Edinburgh. And it feels heathenry to, you know, be in a city so much full of incredible Scotch whiskey and to be drinking JD and Coke. But in fairness, on a Tuesday night, you could go to a place called Opium, which was a metal bar, and sit with your friends, play pool, and listen to AC/DC and drink JD and Coke for £1. Yeah, Tuesday nights, £1 JD and Cokes. I assume if Opium still exists in the Cowgate, I assume it's not £1 anymore. But because of that, I drank more than my fair share of JD and Coke back in the day. But again, not had it in a long time. I'm looking forward to seeing what it's like in one pre-packaged little can. Let's crack it open and see, shall we? The official drama. So it's not really an unbottling as an uncanning, is it? How uncanny. But yeah, welcome to Drinking Out Loud. My name's Adam Bradshaw, and I'm drinking JD and Coke. Nice. Smells like JD and Coke. Looks like JD and Coke. I've never filled a glass this high. Oh, feels liberating. Yep. That tastes exactly like I remember. And, well, not quite, because Coke Zero didn't exist back in the day. I used to have it with Diet Coke. I can't imagine it's that much of a difference. Let's face it, that JD is kind of doing most of the driving work of the noticeable flavors in a JD and Coke. The Coke's really there just to sweeten and water it down. Yeah. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. And yeah, you can pick these up in the Strath right now. And I didn't even take notice of the price, because I'm used to buying several $100s worth of whiskey every time I do one of these videos, and I just didn't even look at the till. I just tapped my card. I think it's somewhere around $6. I don't quote me on that. But yeah, available right now at strathliquor.com. And I've got to say, kudos to you, JD. You finally managed to get Coca-Cola to agree to this, and thank God you did, because just having to open 2 vessels and pour them into a glass was just an ungodly amount of work. However, if you are willing to put the effort in and do that, is there a better option than JD to go with Coca-Cola? Well, that's what we're really exploring here today. I didn't just do a video to let you know that we have JD and Coke in the store. I want to ask the age-old question of many people who have ever tended bar in anywhere with an interesting whiskey selection of, does a better whiskey make a better whiskey and Coke? And you'll have heard anecdotes from several bartenders over the years. I have some myself, of people buying particularly expensive whiskies and then asking for them with Coke or ginger ale or whatever. And power to them. Like, I've got to be honest, I say this quite often, and I live by these words. Once a whiskey is in someone else's possession, if it's their whiskey at that point, they can do whatever the hell they want to it to enjoy it. If they don't like drinking whiskey neat, don't force that upon them. Let them drink it with Coke. Let them drink it with Dr. Pepper. Whatever the hell they want to do. And actually, a pro tip for bartenders that really find it hard, if they find it, I understand some people finding it disrespectful to pour an expensive whiskey into Coke or vice versa. Just, if you can't bring yourself to do it, let them do it. Pour a little carafe of Coca-Cola, pour a little carafe of the whiskey, and a glass with some ice and lime in it, and let them do it themselves. Then you can be guilt-free. You had nothing to do with it. But yeah, like I said, at the end of the day, whiskey's there to be enjoyed, and if people are going to enjoy it better a certain way, let them. If they want to have Macallan 25 with ice in it, sure. It's not how I would enjoy whiskey necessarily, and it's not how I would recommend exploring whiskey, which is what our club's all about. But when it comes to just basically enjoying it, go to town. I don't care. And yeah, JD and Coke, fantastic. But what happens when you up the ante a little bit? So I've got myself a little bottle of Coke Zero here. I tried to get a can, but 7-Eleven for some reason doesn't sell Coke products in cans, only bottles. No idea why. So we have an official unbottling. Hey, there we go. I'm unbottling Coke Zero right here on YouTube. And I did some napkin math. The ratio in this JD and Coke seems to be about 5-1, which is fair. So I'm going to be doing a 1/2 ounce pour with 2.5 ounces of Coke, and I brought my little Anchor measuring cup to make sure I do this fairly. Get myself another glass. So let's see. First of all, we'll start off with another classic American whiskey. And whilst it's arguable whether Jack Daniel's counts as a bourbon or not, technically in Canadian law it does. Tennessee whiskey is defined under Canadian law as an American bourbon from Tennessee, interestingly, so it is in Canada. But this next one is a bourbon, and it's more expensive than Jack Daniel's, not necessarily a sign of quality. Price is not always a sign of quality, but in this case, no offense to Jack Daniel's and your Old Number 7, which is a fantastic whiskey, a classic brand, I prefer Michter's 10. So let's see if having an outstanding, ridiculously good, and quite rare and quite expensive whiskey like Michter's 10 makes a difference, shall we? So first of all, it's higher ABV, 47.2. That's probably going to make a bit of a difference. More concentrated flavors, a little stronger. It's a lot older. I think regular Jack Daniel's is probably around 4. This is 10. Over double the age, I assume. More expensive. It's about $30-ish a bottle. This is about $300-ish a bottle. When you can find it, it's an allocated bourbon. It's incredibly hard to get. I'm very lucky that I have a little bit of leftovers from a tasting we did last year. So let's see if having a better whiskey makes a better whiskey Coke. All right, so 1/2 ounce of liquor. There we go. And some people on the internet are going to cry. 2.5 ounces of Coke Zero. Thank you. All right, so Michter's 10 and Coke. It's a lot stronger on the nose. It's got like this fruitiness, actually. So I didn't try any of these in advance. I'm literally doing this for the first time, and let's face it, only time right now. I'm doing this so that you don't have to, by the way. That's the thing here. I'm not endorsing necessarily putting $300 whiskeys in Coke. But just for science, let's find out. Holy sh! That's really good. I don't know why I covered my mouth. I'm allowed to say shit on YouTube, I'm fairly sure. That is really good. Let's face it, it's April Fool's Day. I'm doing this as a joke. I was not expecting to actually find out that this was good. It's not funny anymore. I've ruined it for myself. It's really good. Shit. I was expecting to just say stick to Jack Daniel's, but so I'm not advocating that you should get a 10-year-old Michter's and mix it with Coke, because price-wise that doesn't make any sense. But maybe Jack Daniels isn't the king of Coke. I'm going off script here. That is excellent. It makes the Jack Daniels and Coke just taste like Coke. That is weird. I really liked this a second ago. It tasted like Jack Daniels and Coke. After this, it just, all I can taste is the Coke. So, like I said, I'm going off script. I'm going to add an extra whiskey in that I wasn't expecting to pour. I'm going to go down here under my desk, get another glass, turn around, and grab what I know is here, because it's always here. Old Grandad Bonded. This is about the same price, maybe $10 more than Jack Daniels and Coca-Cola. It may feature soon in our bargain whiskey tournament. I'll probably put it in because it's a great bourbon. I've got to try, because I might actually give you some actual advice in this comedy video. Yeah, it's half an ounce. 2.5 ounces of Coca-Cola. Hopefully I've got enough Coke to do all the rest. It's good. It's different to Jack Daniels and Coke. I'm not going to say it's outright better. It's definitely not as good as the Michter's 10 and Coke. All those times I've laughed, like, I feel mean laughing, but I do always think it's a bit silly when people order expensive whiskeys and put Coke in it. I might be eating my own words right now. That Michter's 10 and Coke is absolutely gorgeous. I don't like it as much as just Michter's 10 on its own. I'm just putting that out there. I would absolutely prefer to drink this neat, but that is surprisingly good. All right. Old Grandad, good showing. I'm going to toss you over here somewhere. Actually, no, I'll keep it in frame. It's officially part of the video now. Let's just stick that at the back over here. Yeah, Old Grandad. Not bad, actually. Not bad at all. All right. Michter's 10. Delicious. Delightful. Great. Really upsettingly good, actually. All right. So, we've had something stronger and older and rarer and pricier. Next, I'm going to try something from a different country, because, at least in the UK, it's the most common, I would say, whiskey style for mixing after JD is going to be Canadian whiskey. Specifically Canadian Club, actually, usually. So I'm asking the question now, if you're going to have a Canadian whiskey, let's try that. But also let's up the ante a little bit by having something that was a limited edition from over 10 years ago, incredibly hard to replace, and one of the highest rated Canadian whiskies on Whiskey Base. And I have only had about a 1/4 ounce out of this bottle. I opened it a little while ago. It's fantastic. Alberta Premium 25-year-old. And this is interesting, because this was only about $30 or so when it launched in like 2011. And that's before my time in Canada. Don't ask how I got this, I won't tell you. But in the places where it is legal to have this in auction, it's gone for significantly more than that, because Alberta Premium, of course, has had a bit of a renaissance in the last few years, and people want to see what it's like having a 25-year-old. The reason I've not had much of this yet is because I also, at the same time, managed to get my hands on a 30-year-old, which is down here somewhere. But let's see. Alberta Premium 25 and Coke Zero. Is it better than Jack Daniels and Coke Zero? There's 100% rye, aged for 25 years. Does that extra spice and that extra age? I'm just free pouring. What am I doing? Sorry. Science, people. I've got to... Although, I have to admit, I free poured exactly ½ an ounce. I'm getting good at that. Michelle Tucker, former rep for Beam Suntory here on the island, was incredibly good at free pouring a ½ ounce. I hope you're proud of me if you ever see this, Michelle. I'm finally learning how to do it. She laughed heartily at my inability. One time when I was doing a tasting at a golf club in Courtney. Okay. All right. Ooh. So straight up, on the nose, it doesn't, I can't really tell the Alberta Premium's even in there. It's very Coke heavy. It's not very whiskey heavy. It smells kind of similar to the JD, but actually, it smells, it's less prominent than the JD. As soon as you take a sip, the JD is there, it's familiar, it works, it's a classic combination. Alberta Premium takes you a bit by surprise. It takes a bit of a left turn. It's peppery. It feels like one of those interesting, weird, limited edition Coca-Colas they came out with over the last few years, where they've got like ethereal names like Dreamscape or something. It doesn't taste particularly alcoholic. But it's good. I'm gonna say here though that the absolute winner in this lineup is Jack Daniel's. Sorry, Alberta Premium. I think you're maybe better with rye, but you're better on your own. Again, fantastic whiskey on its own. Not as good as JD and Coke. So we've had about the same, significantly better, not as good. I think Jack Daniel's is coming out pretty well right now. So let's really up the ante. Let's think of the most, like, one of the most insane things that you could do to put in Coke without just completely destroying your own feelings and emotions about whiskey. I've realized this is where my limit lies. So this next whiskey is about a $2,000 Scotch. And that is ridiculous. It's a little less than that. It's about $1,900, but it's about, for argument, it's a $2,000 Scotch. And to put that with Coke it just feels wrong. But for science, does it make a better whiskey and Coke than Jack Daniel's? We have to ask these questions. It has to be done. So I'm going to find out right now with Laphroaig 28. So I love Laphroaig, one of my favorite distilleries. I did a fantastic video with their brand ambassador a couple of years ago with this. I still have a little bit left. So Laphroaig 28 comes in this wonderful box. It comes with a magnetic little seat belt, which is always fun. And yeah, let's see. I have had Laphroaig quarter cask and Coke before, with a couple of other ingredients. I had a cocktail called a Smoky Cokey, which was fun. But Laphroaig 28 and Coke. Let's do it. This hurts a little. All right. For science. Oh, God, that smells good. Can I just... No. Half an ounce of Laphroaig 28. This is, I believe it is cask strength. But it is cask strength, but at 44.4, so it's a really low ABV cask strength. From quarter casks, ex-bourbon barrels, Oloroso sherry butts. This is available actually online at our store right now. That felt so wrong. Cheers. How does that still smell so strongly of Laphroaig? I can't smell the Coca-Cola at all. It just smells like Laphroaig. Maybe I've just found the magic way of making Laphroaig last longer. Ooh. That is really quite something. That is really, really good. It is really, it's got this nice fruity smokiness that the sweetness of the Coca-Cola is lifting all of the tropical fruit notes that Old Laphroaig sometimes picks up. There's like guava and pineapple and bananas, and that lovely delicate smoke is just weaving its way through. Yeah. If you are going to buy a $2,000 bottle of whiskey to mix with Coke, I do recommend Lafroig 28 cask strength. However, just get JD. Come on now. Yeah, this is good. This is interesting. This is a classic. JD and Coke. It's yeah. I think overall JD and Coke wins. I think that the Michter's gives it a good run for its money. The Lafroig is super interesting, but it hurts. I mean, I'm gonna finish it, but it hurts. It feels. It feels cheeky to use an English word. It's an English word. I realise I'm using all English words, but it's very. I know that I'm almost definitely never going to have this drink again, and that somewhat makes it feel super special right now. And that is absolutely silly and very ridiculous. But yeah, it is actually really nice. But I can't, in good conscience, recommend that you ever do this. Which feels like a weird thing to say. Again, though, have your whiskey however you like it. Don't let other people dictate what you enjoy. And if you happen to have a bottle of Lafroig 28 and don't like it, I mean, the best thing to do is give it to someone who will enjoy it. But if you just want to enjoy it yourself, hey, try it with Coke. It's actually pretty damn good. Yeah. Sanchevar, I will see you on the next exciting episode. Thanks for tuning in.
Find